Now you know that for electromagnetic waves, we generally consider two characteristics. One is frequency and the other is wavelength. And we know that the velocity is given by lambda times frequency. Now the velocity is going to remain constant. C remains constant if the medium doesn't change. Now between lambda and frequency, suppose you get confused, you can just think of this, that radio waves are crossing us all the time and they're doing us no harm. Whereas ultraviolet rays are harmful for us. Now you also know that high frequency waves are harmful for human beings. High frequency are harmful. So ultraviolet rays have a higher frequency than radio waves because these are crossing us all the time and these are not doing us any harm. So as you move along the electromagnetic spectrum from radio wave region to the ultraviolet region, the frequency will increase whereas the wavelength will decrease. See, notice that this question talks about the angular separation between the fringes. Now, the distance between two fringes, which is denoted by beta, but it is not an angle. This is a distance, say in centimeters, because if you look at the dimensions, centimeters or meters, whatever it is, so this is the width, the fringe width or the distance between two fringes. Now, the angular separation, we denote that by theta, and let's just look at this quickly. See, you have a Young's double slit experiment. You have one slit, then you have two slits over here, and you have a screen, and this distance is capital D, and say I take one fringe over here and another fringe over here. I'm just taking it a little further off so that the diagram is clearer to you. Now, this is the distance between the two fringes. Now, beta denotes this distance between the two fringes, and capital D is this distance of the slits between the slits and the screen, and small d is this distance between the two slits. Now, when we are talking of the angular separation, we are referring to this angle theta over here. Now, you know from trigonometry that theta is equal to arc length L, this distance, over the radius R. In this case, this angle theta would be, we are considering this as an arc, and we are approximating this distance by d. So theta is equal to beta over d, which is equal to lambda by d. And this gives you the angular separation between two fringes. Now you can see that even if we double the distance of separation of the slits and the screen, that means if you change d to twice d, the angular separation theta, which is equal to lambda over d, remains unchanged. So this does not change, but the actual distance between the fringes, beta would become double. That means the distance between the two fringes will become double, but since you're taking this to a distance d away, the angle subtended over here now by these two fringes would still be theta. So the angular separation between the fringes does not change. I've drawn this diagram once again just to show that as you move this away to a distance of 2d, then the linear separation of this between the fringes becomes double, but the angular separation theta remains unchanged. When an electron makes a transition from one level to the other, the energy of the emitted photon is given by me4 by 8 epsilon naught square h square, and then you have 1 by the final minus the initial energy. Now in this case, the transition is being made from the second permitted level to the first level. So if this is the transition from n equal to 2 to n equal to 1, then in this case n final would be 1. We'll put this as a constant. So we have this constant times 1 over 1 square minus 1 over 2 square. So this is the energy emitted when the transition is from state 2 to 1. And then for the second part, which asks for a transition from the highest possible state, which would be infinity to 2. So from infinity to 2, in that case the final state will be, so we'll just write this once again. This is a constant. The final state in this case would be 2. So you have 1 over 2 square minus the initial state, which is infinity. Now 1 over infinity would be 0, and taking a ratio of these two values of the energy gives us the final answer. So you can solve this, and this will come out to be 1 minus 1 by 4, which is 3 by 4 times the constant that we've taken, and this will be 1 by 4 times the constant that we've taken. So the energy for the first transition is to the energy for the second transition is 3 by 4 is to 1 by 4, which is 3 is to 1. Now to find the average value over here, we'll use integration. So the average value of the AC voltage will be 1 over T integral V dt integrated from 0 to T. These will be the limits. This will be the lower limit and the upper limit. So this can be written as 1 over pi by omega minus 0, which will be pi by omega integral 0 to t, which is pi by omega, and this is v naught sine omega t dt. Now since v naught is a constant, we'll write this as omega by pi times v naught integral from 0 to pi by omega sine omega t dt. Now you know the integral of sine omega t will be minus cos omega t. So we'll take that minus sign outside over here. So I've put a negative sign, omega v naught by pi, and this is cos omega t by omega, and then we have the limits from 0 to pi by omega. Now once again omega is a constant, we'll put this out. So we have minus omega v naught by pi, and we have this omega over here, and now we'll substitute the limits. So that will be cos of omega times pi by omega minus cos 0. So this will get cancelled out, and this will be equal to minus v naught over pi, and then you have cos pi minus cos 0. See, I generally remember the values of cos, pi, etc. from the graph, because you know that a cosine curve starts from 1. So 1, and this is how, this is a complete cycle. So this is 0, this is pi by 2, this is pi, this is 3 pi by 2, and this is 2 pi. So the value of cos pi will be negative 1. So we have minus v naught over pi times minus 1 minus, and cos 0 will also be 1. So this becomes 2 v naught over pi, which is the average value for the AC voltage. To find the average value of any waveform, you first need to write it as v times dt and then divide by the total time interval over which you are integrating. So the average value, V average, for half a cycle is 2v naught over pi, and you know that the average value of a cos curve or a sine curve for a full cycle. So if this was given for a full cycle, that would have been 0. The interval from t equal to 0 to t equal to pi by omega, which means omega t equals pi, is half a cycle. That is why the average value was not 0. When radiation is incident on a photodiode, for instance, say this is a photodiode and this is the junction of the photodiode, and radiation is incident on the photodiode. Say the frequency of the incident radiation is nu, then the energy of the incident radiation is given by h nu. Now this energy of the incident radiation has to be equal to the band gap so that the electrons move from the valence band to the conduction band. So writing this incident energy in terms of wavelength, we have hc by lambda is equal to the energy gap of the material. Now let us see what is the angle between the direction of the electric field at an axial point and at an equatorial point. So let us consider a dipole. Say we have a positive charge, point charge, and a negative point charge. And now if you're going to consider an axial point, that will be somewhere along this line, because this is the axial line, and the equatorial point will be somewhere along this plane which bisects the line joining these two charges. So we just draw a couple of field lines, so that makes it easier to find the direction of the field. Now since for the positive charge we'll have outward drawn field lines, and for negative charge we'll have inward, field lines will be inward. So suppose these are a few field lines. Now in this case we'll first consider an axial point. Say we take a point over here, then this is the direction of the electric field, which means it is in the direction of the dipole moment vector. Next we'll choose a point on the equatorial plane. Say we choose a point over here, then the field is downwards, which is opposite to the direction of the dipole moment vector. So the angle between these two directions is 180 degrees. See, whenever you cut a magnet into two, then each half is going to behave like a magnet. For instance, over here when we cut this magnet into two, then this would be a north and a south, let's say. Originally, let's say this was south and this was north, and this piece will behave like a south and a north. because if you cut a magnet into two pieces, each piece again behaves like a magnet. Now, if we place them in such a way that C1 and C2 overlap, in that case, the North Pole and the South Pole will neutralize each other. So, the magnetic moment of the combination formed will be 0. In this case, we have to find out the induced EMF. The induced EMF will be given by Faraday's law, which is E is equal to minus d phi by dt, where phi is the magnetic flux. Now, the magnetic flux is B dot A, and since B and A are perpendicular in this case, this will be equal to B times A. Now, as the spring moves, so this wire AB moves and the enclosed area is varying over here. We will represent this enclosed area by L times X, where X is this distance and L is this distance. You can see that L is going to remain constant, but X is going to vary as the spring oscillates. Now the area A is L times X. The induced EMF is d phi by dt, so differentiating flux with respect to time, this is equal to V. B is a constant through this area, so it is not changing. So we have the differentiation with respect to time of Lx. You can also see that L is not going to change as this spring oscillates. So this becomes L times B times dx by dt. Now dx by dt is the velocity of this spring which is executing SHM. Now for SHM, the displacement x is given by A cos omega t plus phi. Then V can be written as, differentiating this with respect to time, minus A omega sine omega t plus phi. Now putting this value for V over here, we get the induced EMF, which is equal to d phi by dt is equal to V, the magnetic field, times L, and dx by dt or velocity will be given by, it's going to be A omega sine omega t plus phi. This shows that the induced EMF will vary sinusoidally. So the induced EMF varies sinusoidally with time.